Sonder family. It's really good to see you today. I think we have a team October in the house for which journal you're going to this week. We transitioned to our brand new month of November this weekend with the transition of our daylight savings business that will be at 2 a.m. Sunday morning, where we will do the traditional fall back and gain an hour but lose all the light. Anyway, and so you're waiting on your November, Crystal. I got my November last week, and I did decide to go ahead and jump in to November. I just needed some fresh, clean pages. I don't know. I always laugh. I tell Maya I'm so gung ho the first couple of weeks, and then I just become sort of a mess with, with my journal. Good morning. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy. I'm in the Dallas, Texas area. I get to be your on camera facilitator this morning and guide you through your weekly setup. And then joining me, my co facilitator today is the fabulous Maya Martin Glenn, who is in Colorado. And yeah, mid-month refresher for sure, Maya. That would be very beneficial to me. Keep me accountable. But Maya's in the chat. It's a treat to have her on a Monday morning. I'm so excited. I was like, oh, fancy meeting you here today. So, yeah. Anyway, it's really good to see you. Maybe that mid-month is a good thing that you could actually put in your annual survey, which I'm going to tell you about in just a second. So we are saying goodbye to October and welcoming November. I know many of us the last couple of months have been really tough with our bravery theme and then resilience, and folks were saying, I want to do something fun like enchantment, which was a couple of months ago. I think we're going to be facing that with November. Won't give anything. Well, I will be giving something away because I have a graphic, but we have the month of kindness. So I think that's going to lighten things up a little bit. This is corny, but I do hope you have a beautiful week. I hope the treats are plenty and your tricks are few. And I hope you always remember how extra special you are. We are going to be doing a little bit of Halloweeny kind of theme today, since that is the week. So yeah. So most of you are going to finish up October. I'm starting my new week in November, and I will be going back to the trackers in October to do that habit tracker and that kind of thing. Anyway, so I'll kind of be doing both, but there's no right or wrong. And I put that on here just to remind us that we can use whatever's calling to us and whatever you need. And I always love the new fresh start. So I'm always anxious to get into my new journal. There are our community guidelines. If you are here for the first time, this Monday morning crowd would love to welcome you. So just drop a me in the chat. I'm seeing lots of our consistent Monday morning names saying good morning in the chat. We welcome all of you. And if you happen to be catching this on YouTube, we welcome you. We're glad that you are, accessing the Silk and Sonder YouTube channel so that you can watch those. And happy birthday to our little birthday folks who will be celebrating in November, especially the beginning of November. So yeah, happy birthday, Jamie. So just that reminder that we do share these so that we can remind ourselves to take care of ourselves and one another. This is a very safe community, and so we do like to remind everybody before we begin. Maya has already dropped in the chat. She'll do it again. This coming Saturday, y'all, Bailey has an in-person event. It's a good little crowd. So if you are in the Hendersonville, Tennessee area or traveling through or can make that happen, a little day trip, or grab that link and register so Bailey can be ready for you. I I wish I could be there. I think it'll be so much fun. Some of us facilitators have met in person. I have not met Bailey. I'd love to be there in person to give her a hug. Anyway, so yeah, there's our community guidelines. There's our annual check-in, and we want to remind you that your feedback with your Silk and Sonder journal is so important and really helps Meha and the team make decisions on, the journal and prompts and how, what's working for you. If you have preferences of, times for journaling socials, those prompts that we do, if you'd like to see more of those, whatever, just give that feedback because she's very much a believe Mayha's a very much a believer in partnering with the actual Silk and Sonder family as she creates this beautiful journey for all of us. So we would really encourage you to take 5 to 10 minutes and give your feedback on your Silk and Sonder. And then finally, we are saying goodbye to resilience. And I always laugh because we get to the end of the month and we're saying goodbye to this theme, but we're really not, because once we've spent a lot of time with these themes, they are become part of us. And sometimes some themes will just stick with you and stick with you and stick with you and will really have some reframing moments in your life. Perhaps resilience was that theme for you this month. Perhaps this is one that's going to kind of bounce around in your head forever. I have shared oftentimes the theme of indulgence, which was, gosh, 3.5, 4 years ago, still was very life changing for me. Here I am at the kind of the later chapters of life, and I learned so much about myself through that theme. And so I don't know if resilience stuck with you that way. Maybe it did. So we don't really say goodbye to these themes. They live within our souls. And some are more powerful than others. And it hit just right, Jennifer? Sometimes that serendipitous moment where, like, how did you know I needed to really look at my resilience? Yeah, for sure, Cynthia. Like that resilience in all these different areas of our life, like budget trimming. I think we're all doing that. And you're so true. You're so right about that. So yeah, Nicole ended up with this surprise surgery. And boy, talk about perfect timing with the resilience. I've been using this graphic all month because I do think it just sort of epitomizes the theme about that trek that we take through those hard times of life, and sometimes we don't know that we are so close to gaining what we need to take away from a tough situation. Like those clouds are just hovering over, but yet we're almost there. And the saying that we've survived every hard day so far in our life, that rings true to this graphic and our theme. So enough talking. We're going to finish up this month with our mind map. Now, we did 4 weeks of mind map questions. If you are here for the first time, the mind map is your bonus prompt for coming to the weekly setup. It's not found in your journal. This is for, the social time of being together and working a little, doing this deeper dig. And so we did 4 weeks. I have a slide with those 4 questions. If you missed any of them, have your cell phone ready or your screenshot keys ready so you can capture those and maybe catch up if you want. But this week's question you're gonna love. It's a bonus, and it's a tough one, but it's a good one. So we're gonna be working on that. We have a rosebud thorn reflection from what the week brought us, and then we'll get on with some weekly setup pages where I have lots of examples of things for you to look at. And you may already be sitting there, you have your cadence, you're already writing, drawing your squares, figuring out your things. That's great. But we'll also have some repurposing ideas. You're always invited to use these pages as they are, but we will show you some examples from Sonder family. And I really want to encourage you to post your setups because we love, as facilitators, to be able to grab some of those things. And you may not see them right away, but we all keep our little folders with examples. We want to share what you do with your journal because you never know how that's going to hit for someone. And Nicole, thanks for doing that. I love to see completed pages because I think that shows that authentic use of the journal. Those blank, I always say the blank spaces are there for things you didn't do, and that's part of your journey through the week. So thank you for doing that. Hey Janine, glad you're here. So there are our four questions from our resilience mind map this month, a question a week. Grab a screenshot of that if you are missing any of them, or you would just like to save it and maybe go back during a tough time. Like these questions would be a great little resource for maybe a tough thing that might show up in your life, and you could sit with these questions again. They're really, really good. All right. And so our bonus mind map, very Halloweeny themed, but it could be tough. And so I shared yesterday, I did the setup yesterday. I shared that this could be one that you take a screenshot of, and maybe as you go through your week in your different roles, you will maybe entertain the reflection that is here. So we're asking you this week to consider the masks we wear, maybe one mask that you've had to wear to feel strong. Maybe it's something in your past, maybe it's something going on right now. And what part of your true self does it protect? So the reflection is to kind of go back on a time that you had to hide kind of who you were, those fears and those struggles to push forward. What was the situation and what mask did you wear? What part of you were you guarding? Your vulnerability, your hope, your sadness? And then take a few minutes to write about those feelings that come up for you. What's going on behind that mask? How did you feel when you were wearing it? Did you feel uncomfortable because you weren't being your authentic self? Or did you feel safe because it was protecting you? What do you wish you could have shown? And what would it take for you to feel safe enough to take that mask off and be seen for who you truly are? The challenges and all. Now, I pulled together some mask quotes because it can be kind of hard to get started with these. So maybe one of these quotes will guide you as you consider the mask you wear. Now, I want to remind you there's no bad masks. We throw masks on to protect ourselves, right? It's our brain going, oh, alert, alert, alert. And so we put up this mask sometimes just to keep our sanity, to keep ourselves safe. So don't feel badly about a mask. My mask is the little, little happy face. I'm fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm okay. I don't need help. I've got this. And that's hardwired from long, 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 long time ago. And I can only take that mask off in a place where I feel safe with the people that I know will love me no matter what. But, saying everything's fine, everything's fine. And when I was a school administrator, I always talked about the fake it till you feel it, right? Mask that I wore. Like it's fine. I've got this, even though maybe I didn't. I didn't. So sometimes they protect us. Other times they keep keep our authentic selves from showing up. So maybe one of these quotes will kind of inspire you. I love the one about the clown. Everyone asked the clown, "Why do you wear a mask?" And he replied, "Everyone wears it. Only mine is visible." So that reminder that, this is part of who we are, that kind of self-protection. So I'm going to put this, I'll go back and forth between these two slides in case you want to grab one of those quotes to inspire you. Also, if this one feels heavy, maybe pick up your phone and go look at all the emoticons that are there, and perhaps embrace one or two of those that creates this mask. And you could just do like some little doodles here. The whole point is to just do this inner reflection this morning. So um, and yeah, and then like Jen just posted, I don't know if I'll ever get past that fake it. Like we don't want to feel like we're not being our authentic selves, that imposter syndrome. What am I doing here? Why am I even here? So this one is gonna be a little, reflective. And again, you might want to kind of ruminate on this as you go through the different roles that you have through the week, and notice, do I have a mask on right now? Am I being authentic? So and like, why am I wearing that mask? So lots of deep digging into that. And again, I think sometimes those masks just help us be a little resilient in a tough time. Let me put on a little bit of music and then we'll get on with our setup. I told y'all this was a good prompt. It's not easy. Some really good stuff shared in the chat. Yeah, Carolyn said, that with her in-laws, they dislike her, and so she has to wear the survival mask, right? Yeah, it's so tricky. So gosh, we could do like this whole session on masks, the people that, inspire us to put on certain masks, the places that we are. Anyway, yeah. So this is a good one. This is a good one. Thank you for sharing as you were comfortable. It's okay that you didn't, because again, these are this one was a pretty revealing one. And if you are just sitting with it, that's fine too. You don't have to share, but just know that you've got a lot of support in this family. So thanks for like starting off a Monday with this really tough one. So now I'm going to invite you to turn to page 50, which is where you will find your rosebud thorn reflection for this past week. And it's just a look back. What did the week bring you, and how are you feeling about it? I do want to remind you that when we're looking at those thorns, the things that didn't go well, sometimes they're temporary, sometimes they're long term. They're like health related, or you may be a caregiver for someone, and every week that is your thorn. If so, try to look back on that, give it some grace, and give it some thanks, some gratitude. What is it helping you learn to do? What is that gratitude that can come from your thorn? And then we look at the buds, what's coming down the pipe for you. It could be just a new week, or maybe you're already thinking holiday, the end of the year, that kind of stuff. That might be what you're looking forward to. What could bloom? I hope there's lots of buds in your life. And then your rose is about what went so good last week and what are you celebrating from the week. And it might just be a very small thing, but that we have to spend time looking for those little glimmers in our world. Let me put a little bit of music while you do this. And of course, you're invited to share in the chat. Let us be excited for those roses and buds and give you some support for any thorns that might be popping up for you. All right. Thanks for taking just a few moments to do this little reflection over our past week. I love looking back, and we can kind of decide what we want to take forward into the week. Really seeing it on paper helps sort of set the mood for the week. So thank you for doing that. Now we'll get on to our weekly planner. And as most of you said, you're going to be in October. So those pages are going to be on 52 and 53. But if you are starting with just all the fresh, clean pages, that's going to be found in November on page 26 and 27. And this is not an all exhaustive list, but I do keep this slide in here in case you want to grab a screenshot of maybe some ideas of what you'd like to include somewhere in your planner. I even added holiday or special day planner. You know, maybe you want to start thinking about the upcoming holidays. It's full at the end of the year, right? Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa. There's so many things to plan for. So perhaps that starts taking place now so that you can have sanity during that very, very busy time of the year. So you can grab that. Want to remind you too, these socials are always recorded, and you can go to the YouTube channel and access anything that you might miss or want to take a look at, you know. Here's a couple of pages from Sonder Family, and I like to just show like the whole thing, our show and tell for the day. And you can see the one on the right, instead of how they want to feel, they made a sentence. This week I want to be a nice human. And I loved that because it sort of jumps into our new theme of kindness. And so that could be a fun way. Just make a little sentence there. A big push forward is how the example on the left wants to do. You can see that their to-dos are set up a little bit differently. The one on the left just has a to-do list. The one on the right, their to-dos are tied directly into the 3 goals they've set for the week. The one on the left has a little mini tracker under their goal. And then we drop down to the habit and activity tracker, and we see that the one on the left is choosing to set some goals, some number of times for those things to happen. The one on the right is just going to track, and is they're tracking with a little heart. And if it didn't happen, they're just acknowledging that and drawing a line through it. That reminder that your blank spaces tell that story of your life as well as the filled spaces. Sometimes we look and we're like, it's okay. It is okay if things are left blank. So, this week, let's think about how we want to feel. I love these two graphics, and I was telling Maya I was actually working on my setup before I did the slide decks, or the things I wanted to share with you, and I had actually put down for this week connected. I wanted to feel connection, and I looked, and my haunted horoscope says that cancers are looking for connection this week. So I was like, okay, that's serendipitous. I love those moments. So maybe there is something there that will just like grab your mind for this last week of October. Do you need to be a grateful ghost this week, or um, have some, I want to feel some positive potion, calm candy corn. Think about what your week is calling you to be. Unafraid. There you go. I love that one. And then there's a little word cloud that maybe a word or two will pop out for you. And I love that graphic too that says the amount of pressure we put on ourselves can be scary. So don't be scared. Um, and we're going to take that feeling and use that to sort of guide the rest of our setup this week, to maybe determine our goals and our to-dos and our habits and activities. If you really felt moved by looking at your masks, perhaps you work that into your goals this week or your to-dos and be a little more attentive to what you wrote and let that be a guide for your setup. Alrighty, so the three major goals can be three, they can be one, they can be five. You take what you need during this setup. So, these are sort of the reminders that we have for you when you're looking at it. I know many of you kind of take an approach like you see there at the bottom of this, that you maybe create these three categories that speak to you, and then you just kind of plug in your goals for the week. It's all about taking what you need. Maybe you make a theme. Maybe this is a really good time to go flip back through your pages. Are there some outstanding things? And this is like a catch up week. And so all your goals will maybe take into account the undones that you really would like to get done. If you look back and you're like, no, that's not important anymore, that's good too, that reflection time. But a lot of times this last week is used as somewhat of a catch up week. Here are three examples, that are just very succinct. Pardon me. The one on the right, you can see organize, socialize, and self-care are the three goals for the week. And then they put a little bit of how that's going to happen there. These are some older examples. You've probably seen this in one way or another when I've done a weekly setup, but I like the look of them and the way they feel. That motivated in the middle reminds us that perhaps four goals are needed to have the week that you want to have, and how they set that up. And then the two flanking the one in the middle there, they both have three goals of mind, body, and spirit, and that's always a good way to do that. Um, and then we have some ways to repurpose. So, do you ever use this space in a different way from setting your goals? We'd love to know that. Drop that in the chat. I've got some ideas there for repurposing, and you can see that someone has actually kind of flipped the goals and the to-dos there, and they've made a bingo board for their major goals. And then lots of times we'll see rhythms and routines here. So you open your journal and you can see like the morning self-care goals routine is there, made a little mini tracker to check in. When I get off on my rhythms and routines, I use my three major goal box as my morning routine and my shopping list as my evening routine. And then that helps me sort of shore up the routine, the rhythm of my day, and then I'll go back to using them for whatever. So if you repurpose, drop that in the chat. Yeah. And we love like the grids, right? So you can flip those spaces. Like Maggie says, the lines for that to do. So that goes in the goals section. You can make that little grid. You can do that check-in with self. So now let's look at those to-dos. And I don't know what y'all, if you do participate in Halloween, we want to make sure that your washi tape stays with your journaling supplies, and go out and buy the candy. I loved this graphic. I thought it was kind of funny. And then it made me laugh because I was like, washi tape's expensive. I don't know that we honestly would give that out. But I thought that was kind of funny. Be a normal person and give out candy. So here is an example at the top of the setting those three goals, but then the to-dos reflect how those goals are going to happen. Maybe you take this to-do space and you do a little end of month check-in like you see there. And then I also love, 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 perhaps you need a stop doing list as badly as you need a to-do list. So just that reminder there, perhaps, if we think about the masks that we wear, perhaps this is a little reminder list of what we need to stop doing. Some more examples, little bingos, some lists, the flower. Divide your to-dos, your need to and your want to, so that you've sort of prioritized that. And then these have shown up in our goals and our to-dos. Maya actually introduced the idea of the mustard, ketchup, mayo, and pickle. It's from the classroom setting, but your mustard is the must do's for the week. Again, a way of prioritizing. Ketchup is what you're going to catch up on. And if you're looking back over the whole month, maybe everything's a catch up. The mayo are things that you might do, you may do if you have enough time. And then pickles, I always just put some fun things down and I pick one out of my pickles. So my example's there on the bottom left. But you can see how someone over there on the right, that's the same person over a matter of weeks that they have incorporated this way to set up a to-do list. It just, if you can make your journal fun, then maybe it's a little more inspirational for you. We always shout out to the Eisenhower Matrix, another way of prioritizing what you need to do. And I've been really talking about that delete box, that maybe this isn't something from your to do, because sometimes there's nothing to delete. Like it all has to happen at some point. And as you plug things in, think about what is distracting you from getting these things done. And those kinds of things go in your delete box just so that you're giving them power by writing them down and recognizing, I need to get off need to get off of the phone and quit doing, social media. That's something that's keeping me from those urgent and important things. And then another shout out. We love the Pomodoro technique or any type of time framed work that we do on our to dos and our goals throughout the week. The Pomodoro, as you know, tomato is Pomodoro. I'm probably saying it wrong in Italian, and that's where it came from. This whole idea of that little tomato timer that you've seen in the kitchen, and you set these sessions, these work sessions. A true Pomodoro session happens to be a 25-minute work session. Take a break, set it again, repeat that, then take a long break, like a lunch break, and then you get back into your Pomodoro sessions of 25 minutes. But a reminder that maybe you just say 10 minutes on decluttering. You know, when we can put a time frame on there, we're likely to get it done because we work well with those parameters. So that Pomodoro is there just to remind you of that. Also, y'all saw this the last few weeks because we used it with being resilient and the go-tos, being mindful. This is also really, it syncs up well with the mask that we wear. How do we need to be? So maybe your to-do list becomes your to-be list. If you repurpose, share that in the chat. And then we've got the bottom part of the page, the habit and activity tracker. Some of these could be the exact same things that you have on your tracker wheel that's at the front of your journal. But I love this one because your weeks bring you different things. And so maybe, you need to put your carpool times. It's your duty on Monday, Wednesday, Friday to pick up this week. So that goes there, you circle it. Or I always say I take some medication and it's every third day. This is how I track that medication. Now, as we are looking back at this past week, month, think about it in terms of big picture. This is that reminder that, missing a couple of times doesn't make you a failure. I want you to step back and look at what the month brought you and what you were able to do. The blank spaces are neutral. The things that didn't have, that's neutral. This is all on paper. I want you to celebrate what you did get done. Here's some habits and activities to inspire you. And I know we're going through these really quickly. While you work on this page, I'll be going back and forth through these slides. So maybe you're looking at starting a new habit. Maybe do something that you're already doing. Like, Maya always says, I always make my bed. It's just, she has shared before in a hotel, I make my bed. So she's going to start something new. Maybe she pairs that new habit with the thing she's already doing. And then to check that off, you have to have both of them done. That's called habit stacking. So maybe add something new to something you're already doing. And then here's some great examples of how folks have set this up. You can set a number of goals for the week, but you can also just track, like that middle example you see there. The one beneath it did set goals and actually circled the days they want those things to happen. And I love how most of that tracker is like Monday through Friday focused, except for the drink water is 7 days a week. So, permission to give yourself the weekend off. Also, permission option to just set 2 or 3 goals if and habits, if that's what you need. Like the one you see up on the top. Maybe you do a weekly challenge, and some of those things will show up in your habit and activity tracker. So let me put on some music while you work on this first page setting up. Let us know if you repurpose anything, what you're going to be doing this week, and then we will look at page 2. righty. So, Lori, I will try to get to that. We need to move on with our setup. But remember, this is being recorded, so you could grab that if you wanted to. This will be, or I did this yesterday too. So that one's up on the recording and you could grab that graphic if you want. I want to make sure we finish up on time. So let's look now at this page 2. We always say the B side. Katie calls it the B side. So we've got a couple of examples of how folks set this up. And this page tends to get that repurposing more than the other the like I kind of use that first page sort of as is, use that tracker, get things done. But this one is very I want to say malleable. You can put your meals for the week, maybe those go in your shopping list so that you can use the meal plan space for something like a daily reflection, like you see there, or writing that daily haiku, or it. So all of the things I'm going to show you for this page can be used in any of the spaces that we see here on this page. You can see both of these pages are kind of doing this capture the moment that brought me a little joy. We've got a highlight of the day as well as a daily glimmer in the mind body health space. So let's move on with this. And I love the I am loving space, taking a fun sticker and putting that there like the one you see on the left. So here's that optimistic October that if you've been with me at a setup, you've seen this throughout the month. These are very gentle ways of taking good care of yourself. So you might want to grab a screenshot because this doesn't have to be confined to the 31 days this month. These are just really good go-tos for, making sure that you are being mindful, or to throw into a November bingo if you're going to make your own bingo. But very, very simple things. Plan this week. My goodness, look at today. Be kind to yourself today. Remember that progress takes time, and you take that kind of reflection and take just a moment to relish it and think about what that means to you. What a great way to kind of have a mindset change. And I will go back through all of these as we are working on this page. We've got this digital declutter that I know has spoken to lots of you. I throw this one in every now and then just because it's important to clean that up. Our emails, our contacts, do we need to sit for a little while and redo some passwords so this is a nice way of that reminder from day to day to do that. That would work well in a bingo board. I know that Priscilla had asked for a bingo board idea. So this could be good. You could even just do a column and do 5 things of digital declutter. What does that look like? It is good and it's good to clean up that phone so that you don't feel like you're running out of memory. We've got the meal plan. It can be used as a meal plan, like the example you see here. This one always makes me hungry when I see all the good things that you guys are planning. But we do a lot of repurposing with this particular space. And here's some great examples. Again, not all exhaustive, but we always love that meal plan for the soul. How are you going to feed your soul? I love that. Oh, when you could cook. Better days are coming, Nicole, and you're planning. You just have to let somebody else take reign in the kitchen. But thank you for sharing that. So we've got the 7 types of rest. Always a very good reminder to see if there's an area that you are lacking in. Maybe you need to devote. You can see the example of this meal plan, how someone's going to focus on the 7 kinds of rest, a rest a day, if you will. But maybe you go, I am feeling really emotionally drained. That's showing you that you need rest in that area. And so perhaps every day this week, you do something that will tap into resting emotionally, like journaling or taking off that mask and freely expressing yourself. So that could be a focus for the week. Just a little one good thing reflection there. Love the little graphics. Anytime you can draw or add a little creativity to your journal pages, it's tapping into parts of our brain that don't always get tapped into. And then, we've got, a midday check-in. Love using it for that, like at lunch, kind of see how your mood is, how your energy level is, and then what needs to happen to maybe ramp it up or what happened to make it a great move. Love the daily creative challenge over there on the right. So beautiful, you guys are so smart and come up with such great ideas. Um, Sweet little reminders from little ghost. Sometimes these affirmations will be a great thing to put in your mind body health plan. I call this my selfish space. This is always something for just me that doesn't affect anybody else. Well, I mean, ultimately it will. Priscilla, these are some great ideas for a bingo board, either one of these. You saw these last week when we worked on our mind map. And we talked about some of our go-tos that help us be resilient. And so I thought this was a really great thing to throw in here because we could take a few of these things and pop them into our mind body health plan. Or perhaps you fill your menu with coping skills, with your go-tos. Especially if you are like thinking about your types of rest that may be lacking in your life. So grab a screenshot of that if either one of those are speaking to you. They're really really good, very mindful. Now I'm going to go ahead and move forward, but I'll come back to this slide. And then I loved this consideration of how to let go of a thought because of the work we did with our masks earlier this morning. That's a really good reflection piece for that mask work that we did. Wanted to share that with you today. So perhaps sometimes some of these reminders could be worked into the space. Like if you put this into your meal plan, since we've really been leaning into that mask work today. Then also, the graphic over there on the right is a graphic of gratitude. Do y'all remember in the Charlie Brown Great Pumpkin, he's like, I got a rock. And then reframing that with my kids, overjoyed. I got a rock. So just that reminder about finding ways to celebrate and have that gratitude for the month and what it brought us. I love the idea of the 1 week self care plan. These are very small ways of just taking care of yourself and avoiding social media. I love the spa day and that reminder that that does not mean go out and spend $500 on yourself. It means maybe you carve out time this week as you're setting up and you have the longer shower time, longer bath time. Maybe you do some teeth strips and a face mask, or do a hand massage and put on some gloves and just let that lotion soak in. So think of ways to really take care of yourself with that spa day. I love that someone has made their mind body health plan a self-care corner. And so going to just put that in writing, give it some power. When we write things down, we are more likely to do them. Rather than just letting them live in our brains. And maybe you need some self-care reward stickers and you could doodle some in that, like that meal plan space, and reward yourself for, taking care of yourself. I survived a panic attack. I asked for help. I didn't pretend I was fine when I wasn't. So though you could reward yourself with some of that. I've been sharing this daily dose graphic this month where we are really looking at the proper ways to get our dopamine hits and things to do for oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. That helps keep our brain nice and happy and healthy. Maybe you do a where did I struggle reflection if times are feeling tough right now. That's a really good way to put something on paper and leave it. And then I know many of us, HYGGE, it's hygge time. We're preparing ourselves for the months of wintering, that slower living with a lot of coziness and mindfulness and surrounding yourself, your home, creating spaces to just be able to slow down and enjoy the turn of the season. So yeah, time to get cozy. So perhaps hygge starts showing up in your journal. And then some great ways to do that: mind, body, health, or shopping list, or meal plan, exercise trackers. We've got the shopping list, which can absolutely be a shopping list. Maybe you do some spending tracking there, or you remind yourself no unnecessary spending. I think we're all doing that. Here are some more good things for like a bingo or a bucket list. Ways that you took care of yourself today. Maybe that shows up in your mind, body, health, or your shopping space. And our weekly intentions. Here's how someone used this inspiration in their shopping list, as well as I'm sharing this. I've been doing this all month. The halt method for if you're feeling off, stop, pause, and ask yourself the question: Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? And if you answer yes to any of those things, then you can make a plan of action to get yourself out of that funk that you're feeling. This is from the world of recovery. And I always say we're all really recovering from life. And then finally, what are you loving? I found this graphic. I'm loving that. Good reminders to me. And then I want to share really quickly just some scratch pad, how people are using their scratch pad. So that's going to be part of this second portion of our setup. So I'll stop talking, put on some music, go back through all of these slides. Remember to grab screenshots if you saw something that you think you might want to consider for your journal. And then we'll just close out our time. right, friends, this is always the fastest hour. I feel like our poor page 2 sometimes gets a little cheated, because we have so many wonderful things from y'all that we love to share. So we ask you to share in the Sonder Club so that we can, get some of those images and share out. Also, if you are on Instagram, post your page. Talk about your Silk and Sonder journey, or maybe a portion of your setup. Like, here are my goals this week. And I do that because of Silk and Sonder, and tag Silk and Sonder. You never know when you will show up in the corporate account. That one more little reminder about our annual survey. We want you to be sure that you are giving your feedback to that. Also, if you're in the Hendersonville, Tennessee area, be sure that you try to make it to Bailey's in-person setup this week. And then there is our playlist. Y'all have a great spooky fun week, and I will maybe see some of you on Wednesday evening for our November monthly setup. Thanks for making time for your Silk and Sonder journey today, friends.